what those monies are. So our budget reflects what we bring in.
Right.
In this case, it says in the JPA that they can hire an executive director, they can hire consultants, they can buy property, and there's no limit. There's nothing that says that it caps that not to exceed $1 million. It just says they can do all those things. So that to me means, as Director Davis pointed out, it's essentially a blank check. So, a question for council. So if we were in the JPA and the board that's been appointed or elected to run the JPA has acquired debt, bought property, hired an executive director, and untold other consultants, and they've tallied, you know, pick a number, $100 million. So all of the 5 parties would be required to pay whatever percentage is established in the beginning. And if whatever rates are established don't cover those, everyone's still liable for the excess. Is that correct?
So, just to clarify, a budget authorizing those expenses would have to be adopted by the board first. The JPA does not have autonomy to spend money that isn't budgeted by the board. The budget is subject to a 4/5 vote, so it is not unanimous. It does take 4 members of the JPA to approve a budget. And so let's say that supermajority does do so for these costs, then yes, anything budgeted that is not covered by the rates must be made up by the members.
Thank you.
Yeah, not this board.
Right. Any other board comments? Okay. I guess we'll open it up for public comment.
I'd just like to apologize. This timer counts down from 10 before it starts.
Okay.
So that's the beeping, and I don't know how to get it to stop doing that. So,
Fair enough. Thank you.
So you gotta breathe for 10 seconds.
so you get an extra 10 seconds.
Thank you, Kelly. I think we should get an extra 20 minutes because when we have to listen to stuff, we don't get to interject during certain parts of the comments that really make a difference in what's being said, and then we have to wait till the end of the thing. Is unacceptable. Okay, you guys signed an MOA. This is the MOA. This is the plan. You're in violation of this plan. You and everybody else are in violation of this plan by not doing the projects that were supposed to be done first. Any party may withdraw from the MOA, and they can submit their withdrawal, and in 30 days they'll be withdrawn. They cannot dissolve the MOA. You don't have to join the JPA. You are the MOA. They can withdraw and go do whatever the heck they want to do. The MOA is what's accepted. If you stay with the MOA, you're in the driver's seat. The MOA doesn't do anything else that the JPA doesn't do. They can't tell you to dissolve the MOA. Do not dissolve the MOA. Let them withdraw if they want to do something else. They've already agreed to this. First off, EPC is illegally part of this, and you wrote a letter stating that you didn't agree to that and they needed 100%. So they're illegal in the first place. We don't need this agreement to do what needs to be done in the basin. We don't need to participate in what they want to do. The driver's seat is the MOA. Okay? Don't forget that. They cannot remove the MOA. They agreed to. The other guys, EPC, that was part of this, should never be part of this, agreed to not be part of this, for them to stay a water district, which was illegally formed. So, let them withdraw. keep doing what we're supposed to do to protect the basin, and then go to this thing called the plan, and do what the plan says. Stormwater capture, primary thing, not their conceptual plans of spending millions and hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' dollars on plans that didn't work for all their other crap with blending water and doing whatever. That is not what this thing said. They need to reduce their pumping, they need to use their water, their surplus water, they need to cut back in the affected areas, and they do what the plan says. So in the 5-year deal or the 1-year deal, this shows they're breaking the plan. Do you want to be the guys that break the plan? Or you want them to break the plan?
Mr. Gray.
Take lead, take lead.
Mr. Graywolf. Greg? What section is that? So I can put it in the,
9.1 and 9.2.
of the MOA.
9.1 and 9.2.
Thank you. Just for people to be able to read.
All right. Like my hard one. Why not hard one?
My name is George Tracy. I'm the president of the Independence Ranch Community Service District, one of your neighbors. Right now, I have been with several of the other people in this audience following what's happening with the GSA. 4 of the people who are in the MOA have already agreed to this joint power authority. You are the last cog and my last hope. I don't want you to join this for 2 reasons. One, you're the last group that has the ability to tell them that they're going down the wrong road. And 2, if this JPA is successful, as a member of the county, I have the ability to fight using the 218 vote. Now you guys, because you're a water district, you don't have to do a 218 vote for your members. But maybe you should listen to what some of the members are saying, because you are going to have to raise your rates to pay for this JPA if you join it. I made this same statement at the meeting of the Paso Robles City Council, what was it, 2 weeks ago now? The people who are dependent upon you as a board to give them water when they need it are going to get really irritated when they find out how much this is going to cost, and the only revenue you have to pay for it is raising their rates. People don't like the idea of doing something that they're not responsible for. You're not responsible for what's going on with the water basin. I'm not responsible for the water basin. My house in Independence Ranch is a de minimis user. Probably everybody in the ranch itself is a de minimis user. Therefore, we are taking a position and will be issuing a letter, I guess a letter, I don't know what else we could issue, that says we are not in favor of the JPA. I hope you guys understand that the reason most of our people, and a lot of them are even older than me, and they just don't have the money, number one, and they don't have the desire to have somebody lord over them that they gotta do something because somebody says so. Thank you.
Thank you. We have additional public comment.
Oh, that's dark.
Go ahead.
You might say what I'm gonna say.
Oh, my. Surprise.
We still have to ask for these names. We know these names.
All right, so I'm opposed to this joining the,
Please introduce yourself.
Burton Baker. Thanks, actually, I'm the citizen representative. Okay, so everyone that extracts water is going to be charged an extraction fee. So this community, this district is going to be charged an extraction fee for the amount of acres that you extract. Plus everyone that has a domestic well is going to pay a fee. So to say that you're not going to pay a fee is nonsense. It's right here. They're going to be charged by the amount you extract. Now, they're going to have a budget, supposedly, and they're going to have a 218. They're going to hire all the people we talked about, the guy that's going to run it, the consultants, the attorneys, whatever it costs to do the 218. If that 218 doesn't pass, you're on the hook for paying your percentage of all the expenses, because there's going to be no other revenue stream if that does not pass. And the way the community feels, and you know what happened, was it 2016 or 14? Yeah, they got crushed. So you're going out on a limb here, in my opinion, big time with that. $100,000 for this annual report is just another, waste, in my opinion, of money. Nothing, it's outrageous that it costs this much. That document will be a public document anyway. In my opinion, you can just latch onto that, say, here, see that, here's our 3-page summary about what we're doing, and I think you're fine. But this, this thread of we're gonna have all these, hundreds of thousands of dollars of potential expenses for the district, I don't buy it. And we don't know what the fees are. It's like, we have to pass it before we know what's in it. We've heard that before. Now you gotta pass it before we know what the cost is. You don't know. You don't know what their budget's gonna be. They got all these different scenarios. And you just don't know. It's lunacy to me to jump out on this deal without this kind of information. What kind of business plan is it? You don't know what your expenses are going to be before you start your business? I mean, really? This is just another layer of bureaucracy, another layer of regulation, another layer of taxation, another layer of intrusion. And this thing's never going to go away, right? 1913, 16th Amendment was passed, federal income tax, 1% on people who pay over $3,000, 6% for people who pay over $500,000, supposed to affect 3% of the population. Where are we today? Where are you on your property taxes, sales taxes, state income taxes? You don't know anything that's gone down? This is another bureaucracy that's going to grow and grow and grow, and it's going to be taxed. I was at the PBC meeting time and time again. I heard Bruce Gibson say, we're not going to tax domestic wealth, or we're not going to put a fee on domestic wealth. Well, here we are. Lawyers say you have to do it. They say we're not going to meter for wealth. Can I go extra time since I'm your
Yeah, give it a little extra time.
We're not going to put a meter on your well. You know what's going to happen?
Consensus? I'm fine.
Okay. What's going to happen? They won't, but some judge will. Someone's going to sue and say, you know what? This says I'm supposed to pay per acre foot, and this guy over here has a nice yard and kids and trees and a lawn, and this guy is going to live in a dust bowl by himself and doesn't use any water. He's going to say it's not fair. And some, and it's probably lined up that they have this thing set up, and they'll get it into court, and some judge will say, you know what, the only way to really be fair and to measure people's acre feet or how much water they're using is to put a meter on their well. And you can see that coming. Well, I can see that coming from a mile away. The cause of all this are the vineyards. It's the ag. According to the last report, it's like 94.4% of the water is used by ag, and most of all that is the vineyards. And it's a declining industry. 10% of all the grapes grown in California last year, 2024, were not harvested. The year before that, I heard something like 50,000 tons of grapes were not harvested. So the problem is the vineyards. And they should take care of that problem. It's not should fall on our community and our people and our water users. It's a problem that's been mismanaged and caused by this county, who let well after well go in. I know I live. Chris Rothler, Jay Ward was putting in all the vineyards. 2014 and 15, during the height of the drought, that guy is drilling well after well after well after well on that property along Cross Canyon and putting in those vineyards. This thing has been grossly mismanaged. It's government greed so they can get more money for the vineyards, more property tax, more revenue, and they didn't care about the basin or the people, the mess of people that live over. They mismanaged it, and now it's the same group of people that are basically want to run this joint powers agreement. It's the county, Bruce Gibson, the two phony water districts, and they'll have absolute control. And they will have absolute control over everything. I heard Gallo's going to shut down. Is that correct?
They sold, as far as I can.
Okay, well, I heard that they're going to close down that deal. So like I said, it's a declining industry. I think it could take care of these vineyards. You know, this problem could take care of itself without creating this incredibly another way. It's just a bureaucracy that's going to be intrusive and just cost an absolute fortune. And I hope we have a shot here, and I think we should just stay out of it. And we can always go back in. Worst case, you could always go back in. But I hope we get out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Marcia Stebbins, rural San Miguel. I do have a San Miguel zip code, but I'm in the hill country, as I say. Bert did,
Keep going.
I have it perfectly timed in my head. Bert did cover a lot of what I wanted to cover. I have spoken at the Paso City Council. I spoke at the Board of Supervisors regarding the same issues. And I just wanted to let you know that the reason why they're saying that it could cost less is because of the de minimis users like my family who have a closed loop system. We have a well, we pump the water, we pay for the electricity, we pay for the land, we pay for the well, pay for the well pump, we pay for the repairs, and then when we flush the toilet or take a shower, it goes into the septic system, and then it recharges the basin. How can we be part of the problem? We may actually be helping the basin by bringing, I don't know, sodas or milk or liquids onto the property, and then it recharges the basin. So, I wanted to commend you for not participating in the original, your 3%. That 3% is able to cancel out 97%. You actually have more control with your 3% on that MOA than you would ever have with a joint powers agreement. I sat in the Board of Supervisors meeting where Bruce Gibson, and I don't mean to have it just be about one person, but where Bruce Gibson, how many meetings has he held as the GSA representing the county? How many meetings have you gone to? How many meetings? None. None. On that vote, there were 3 votes. Don Ortiz-Lay, Bruce Gibson, and Jimmy Paulding. How many of their constituents live over the Paso Basin? 0. That's the kind of representation we will have at the county level. You're a C.S.D. You have people here who have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, perhaps $1.2 million, to be in lawsuits with their own constituents. $15 million across this Paso Basin to be in lawsuits with their own constituents. We can stop the warring. People can manage the basin. The people that are a problem can be managed. There is not an overdraft legally. It's not in overdraft. And if you want to address the problem, you've got to address the people that are trying to control the basin. You have a 3% vote, and that has a lot of power.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
Buddy? Sign that.
All right.
Okay. So, first of all,
case you didn't have it, here's the budget you're talking about, the 18,000. This is the current MOA approved budget. And actually, it's overstated. There's a $50,000 charge on here for governance. And I had a meeting with Blaine Greeley the other day, and he says none of that money was spent. All this GPA legal stuff has been paid by each of the GSAs, including you guys, that you probably didn't even know about. Anyway, just so you have, there might be more than one, but whatever. The other thing is, how many times have I waved this at you? How many times have I handed it to you guys? So this is the proposed draft budget, not adopted, for determining how these rate studies are. This is a 5-year fiscal budget. You know what the total is on this? $21,500,000 over 5 years. And you talk about your 3%, there's nothing in this agreement that has any allocation of what your share is going to be. So the way I read it is each of you, if there was 5 of you, are not going to get 3%, you're going to get 20% of, if this was the budget, you figure out what's 20% of 21,500,000. It's 4,300,000 a year, average. This is the kind of stuff that's going on here. And the other thing I want to get into, because we got into it before the meeting, I went to the EPC board meeting yesterday. I sat in from the first minute till after the adjournment, and I watched the board members leave and get in their cars. Mr. Keller here today claims, oh, they assigned this four-party agreement that you guys don't even care about. But the point is, this is how they operate. So they did not sign it. That board voted 4-1 to table it because of all the issues they have with it themselves. Okay? That board meeting that's a public entity. They're responsible for the Brown Act. So if they adjourned that meeting and everybody left, I would like Mr. Kelly to explain to me after that meeting where they denied signing that agreement, how it got signed yesterday, because he claims they signed it. And there's actually a representative back here from the board who was actually running that meeting, so maybe he should get up here and explain it to you. And you know what, guys? I'm really all on your side, okay? I don't believe you should sign this, but they haven't signed it. So now there's a problem with their schedule because they didn't get the 4 signatures they need to actually exclude you guys. And even though you probably don't ever want to sign it, it's still an open item. And that's how that's what you did last month. You deferred it because we didn't even know if we had a final agreement or what it was going to be. And now, Jay Lohr, who's really the head of pushing all this for years, stood up in that meeting yesterday and absolutely declared he is absolutely against all of this. And he went to another meeting on a winery symposium earlier yesterday at the fairgrounds and stood up and did a 25-minute speech in front of all the wine people and told them the same thing. So you got the people that are actually driving this that won't even agree to it. But I really object to Kelly. So the way this works for your 3% deal.
Yeah, we've gone a bit beyond.
But no, I'm sorry. You granted extra time to a public speaker.
We did.
I get that amount of time.
We just need consensus of the board to continue.
I can give him extra time.
No.
No, ask the attorney.
2 to 2.
So if they granted a public speaker extra time, don't all public speakers get extra time? To that extent?
2 to 2 then.
Yes.
Yes. Anything else? And you know it, Smiley, so don't say you don't agree.
I'm sorry, we still need to go through the process of the board consensus, though. They need to agree that they're gonna provide the consistent extra time.
It's 2 to 2.
2 to 10.
So they polled and it was 2 to 2, Christina, on whether to provide
Then
it.
it's deferred to the board president to make the decision.
Yeah.
Well, since we granted Mr. Baker extra time, we'll grant you extra time, it's fine.
Okay. This is to your benefit, so you understand what the hell's going on, since you don't even have the agreement.
Look, it's gonna be the time we gave to Mr. Baker, so it's not gonna be 20 minutes, it'll be, an extra 3 minutes, is essentially what we gave him.
Whatever, okay? So on this allocation of cost, there's some really strange wording in the agreement that you would be signing, which I hope, God, you aren't, and I don't think you will. And it talks about extending this PVC budget that actually expires in July 30th for another 6 months, kind of following that allocation. After that, it's open season as to what costs that in this budget, or whatever budget they come up with, that you guys are actually gonna be sharing. And it could be 20%. And I'll be surprised if it stays at 3 or 5 or 10. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Is there any additional public comment? Okay. We'll bring it back to the board. What would you guys like to do?
I make a motion to get out of the JPA.
Well, we're not in the JPA.
Well, okay, I make a motion not to get into the JPA. How's
So
that?
make a motion not to,
Yeah,
make a motion not to approve the agreement.
not to approve the agreement.
Don't sign it.
We have a second for the motion to not approve the agreement.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Director Davis to not approve the JPA agreement, second by Director Sangster. We'll have a vote. Director Davis?
Yes?
Director Smiley?
No.
Director Beatty?
No.
Director Sangster?
Yes.
2-2.
So the motion fails as a tie.
Thank you.
Continue it.
Do we have any other motions?
So what does that mean when you said the motion failed?
So when there's a tie vote, the motion fails, because it has to be a majority vote. So it has to be three of the 5 directors have to vote.
So those 2 guys, they want it.
So those 2 want the JPA, these 2 do not.
And if it's a tie, does the public have anything to say about it?
No, it's a board vote.
Where's the 5th person?
He's absent tonight.
Does it get tabled if we can't break the tie?
It's up to the board.
So
The board would have to ask to bring it back. I'm not interested in hearing about it again. I don't want to hear it brought back personally.
I mean, it's,
All the other parties are signing, if this fails tonight, the other parties are moving forward the 4-party agreement as of tomorrow. And so it's really the only thing that would be able to be, the only thing that would be able to be brought back at this point would be if at some point in the future, this board wants to entertain joining the existing JPA.
So,
Because the 5-party agreement's off the table, it expires tonight.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
2 to 2,
Yeah.
we're done with it.
If it's a failed vote, it would be up to the board to bring it back. I'm not interested in bringing it back myself. So, as council pointed out, it would not be back as this version. It would be back to join whatever is approved, if it does get approved, it would have to be something we would wish to join, and we'd be again up on the board at that point to join after the fact. So the future information, which we have no idea what will be, so it's a dead motion, or dead issue at this point.
I think Mr. Beatty had a comment.
Yes.
I would just want to ask council if, because it's basically getting crushed right now, if 6 months from now, a year from now, we decide that we wanted to join, that's obviously, we are able to do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's been a mechanism built in for joining. Obviously, the four-member JPA would have to vote the district in at that point, and as Kelly pointed out, there'd probably be some sort of buy-in cost, but it's unknown what that looks like or what it would be, because again, they have to pass a whole Prop 218 process and pass a budget and all that, and so it's on the table for the district to request to be added to the JPA at any time in the future at this point.
Chairperson, can I say something? I want to hear from your council the fact that unless you guys get out of the MOA doesn't die. And the fact that EPC did not vote on this thing yesterday, so there isn't 4 people going for it. So this whole thing is just unbelievable in the fact that they don't have the votes to go forward, and the MOA can't be killed unless all of you agree to kill it. What part of the MOA agreement isn't understood by all the legal people?
So, Council, would you clarify our position with the MOA? If we are not dissolving it or excluding ourselves from it, does it continue on in its current form?
So I had received, just to clarify, I had received confirmation from council for EPC that they have already approved the 4-party agreement. It may be that last night they didn't approve the 5-party, but my understanding is that the 4-party, and I didn't watch the meeting, so I don't know what happened last night, but according to their council, they have approved that agreement. As far as the MOA is concerned, if 4 members of a 5-party MOA join a JPA, that dissolves their membership in that MOA and terminates. You cannot have an MOA with yourself. It is required that there be other members. An MOA is not going to exist. With that said, I will clarify that the budget that was approved, that San Miguel approved their part in for updating the GSA under the 5-year plan is slated to move forward under the current terms of the MOA